More than just learning from the mistakes of others, you make the mistake. Don't be afraid of what people will say about it. Mistakes happen because you have to learn. And if you don't feel the pang of pain that you're going to experience in every failure, it won't make an impact. The impact will come when you feel the pain.
Hello, Global Sense. This February, we shine the spotlight on a trailblazer in real estate and architecture. With over 3 decades of experience spanning brokerage, consultancy, and housing development, she has transformed visions into thriving community and mentored the next generation of real estate professionals. A certified architect, real estate broker, and real estate consultant, she embodies passion, innovation, and expertise. Please welcome our featured broker of the month, CRB Antoniette T, also known as CRB Tony.
Good morning, Global Sense. Thank you for having me as your featured broker for the month of February. It is my honor and privilege to be part of the REBAP Global City chapter. I hope to be able to share my expertise and innovation in the field of real estate, architecture, and marketing.
Thank you, CRB Tony. I know you're very busy about all of your projects. CRB Tony, you have built a career that spans architecture, real estate brokerage, and consultancy. What inspired you to pursue such a diverse path in the real estate industry?
It's not actually diverse, but it's a related diversification. But the three paths are interrelated. Initially, architecture is designed and built for an environment. And to have the right design, the right planning is important. Initially, for shelter, to house an industry and to house a specific need. Generally, it will lead to a more specific diversification. Real estate is also a diverse career. It's more than selling. It's understanding the market, understanding the land you are selling, and understanding the environment. Initially, architecture is my first course in college. The reason why I took it is I'm good in drawing and I'm good in math. And the combination of that is architecture. I got interested in how people go into acquisition. So that's why I studied also real estate. Studying has always been a passion. I'm not really a top-notch student even during high school or college. But accumulating knowledge is one of my passions. So knowing this and that is important in the connection in certain path. I studied a little bit of this and that, and it ends up going into a consultancy. So consultancy is actually knowing a little bit of everything. But you still have to specialize in that everything. We are not a jack of all trades. We have to be specific in our expertise, in our knowledge, in which real estate was my chosen and career because it's comfortable for me. But again, we have to be uncomfortable to be hungry for knowledge. So beyond that, I also took up marketing to be able to understand consumer behavior. I started my architecture career in 1988 after I graduated from UST and worked in different architectural firms. The longest which I stayed on was RV Rosa Architects, wherein I was a specifications writer. I was involved in projects like the EDSA Shang Hotel, Shangri-La Mall, and Tectai Towers, and other residential condominium, which was booming at the time. Later on, I shifted to private practice, and then along the way, met clients who have properties they want to dispose. So I got curious on how to dispose properties. So that's when I studied real estate. After which, I got hooked on marketing and sales because it's you get to meet a lot of people, and the legal aspect and technical part of it, in which architecture also played an important role. That's when I discovered that designing is important in the real estate industry, mainly because the space environment which we as brokers are selling, trying to sell the idea of a space environment to a consumer, wherein as an end user, you will live in it. So you have to understand how a consumer feels or behave when they're already in that space. So architecture plays an important role in that, with the correct flow, correct planning, correct materials. And that's how I wanted to, how do you say, make a change when it comes to proper design, when it comes to correct ideas. Time pass, the financial aspect is also important because if you are going to build something and it's not going to make money, what's the point? So the financial aspect, the time, the time value of money is also important to study. So again, I studied consultancy. I took it twice. First, I didn't take the exam. Second one, after I took the exam, that's when I understood the whole aspect of the feasibility, and that's when I found out that I can write. So that's when I started further studies, taking seminars, taking a lot of short courses along the way.
Thank you for your wonderful journey in the real estate industry. I understand how our industry became rounded, as you are the living proof that in our industry you can expand horizons from the passive sector of being technical to a more active sector of eh, understanding the lived experiences of our clients and our market. Then I also understand that you are into socialized housing and also high-rise developments. My question would be, what are the challenges to balance affordability and quality of these projects that you've handled?
Yeah, I've seen different housing projects all over the country. I've seen Pangasinan, Davao, and Iloilo. And I noticed that these are people who's gonna live in it eh. So, ang challenge, ang challenge dyan is, are we designing it properly for this sector of people wherein they're the most in need of a home? Now, socialized housing, although it may be just a compliance to the developers, the one who's gonna stay there are mostly permanent compared to those buying into condominiums and one family house. I believe the Filipino people deserves a better home rather than just being a compliance, and then just, no, some of them walang kuryente, walang tubig, and then it's not even painted, there's no flooring and all. So we cannot give it just like that. So, and actually the challenge there is also costing. We have to bring down construction costs. So how do you do that? New technology, new construction system. So I'm also appealing to engineers and other innovators, inventors, to come up with new system of technology when it comes to building building a house, construct, and even design, so that we can really serve the Filipino people when it comes to housing.
Yeah. I understood about your about the challenges of socialized housing, especially when we are trying to build a space or a house that is fit for the constituents or the residents of that specific development. Usually, the problem would be, what if these people would have or extend their family or have a new car? So usually, the space isn't future proof. They are only for compliance, which is the problem in the real estate industry right now. Because what is or mean what I mean is, the perspective of the developers is more on the business side rather than giving quality homes or giving what the demand needed. Well, I also agree with your sentiments about the innovativeness of our technicals or the engineers to innovate materials or supplies that could support affordability for these constructions. Well, in light of affordability, what do you think about the housing backlogs, the situation right now of the Philippines? How can we solve this matter?
It will take decades to solve it, but we should start it. So our group is coming up with a certain program for together with the Pag-ibig financing scheme, wherein we will make it more affordable, not really affordable, but uh, term payment for the Filipino market. I think there's a misconception on the housing backlog, specifically on the market. There are articles stating that we have a condominium glut. That's taken out of context. Specifically, that's only for Metro Manila and on a specific market. Now, that doesn't answer the housing backlog. When you say housing backlog, these are for the affordable housing market, wherein Filipinos, 10% of the population of the Philippines are in Metro Manila. And a mix of the A, B, C, D, E socioeconomic classification, approximately 52% of that is the E market and DE market. Apat na document yun eh. One of the document is it has to be signed by an LGU. Now, like the one I'm doing right now in Taguig, it will be under Pasig because there's no land anymore, no cheap, not really cheap, affordable land anymore in Pasig. So I have a land owned by a client of mine. I propose it for a housing, and I drew up the design. It was presented to Mayor Vico at the time. Ang Pag-ibig kasi is more in the financing scheme. They will also provide initial developmental loan to the developers of the housing of the proposed project. Now, the LGU will provide the beneficiaries. LGU meaning depends on which city you want to serve. Like the one I'm doing right now is for Pasig. But since the property is in Taguig, it will have 20% Taguig beneficiaries and 80% Pasig beneficiaries. Why is this important to us? Because it will remove the marketing aspect of the whole project. If it's a real estate, you have the developer and they need to sell it. Then they need to do initial selling so that they can have initial capital to start the project. Now, where will they get the money? From initial selling, diba? In this case, you don't need to do that anymore. There are beneficiaries who are Pag-ibig members and qualified for a housing loan. So these beneficiaries were already pre-qualified to have a housing loan for this type of project. There's a desk in the LGU's office wherein you can sign up as a beneficiary. So that list will be given to us so that they can qualify to buy in the project. The project right now has only 350 units. So given 80% of that will be given to Pasig. So Pasig is ready already. They have if I'm not mistaken, they have over 300 names ready. But again, we have to pre-qualify them. And then once they're qualified, they can start paying directly to Pag-ibig, not anymore to any developer. So if they default, if along the way they don't want to get the project anymore, the money's with Pag-ibig. And it's safe. Unlike if you buy from a developer, a private project, di ba, you pay monthly, the check is payable to whichever developer.
Yes.
And then once you cannot pay anymore, and then how can you get it back? Di ba may proseso pa yan? Minsan yun may babalik sa'yo.
Multiple demand letters.
Yes, and the nitty-gritty of that, and then a lot of headache. So people are lost when they cannot anymore afford along the way, they cannot pay the developer anymore. With this one, you're paying Pag-ibig and in your account. So if you want to get it out, Pag-ibig yan eh. So account mo eh. So pwede mo ilabas anytime. Yun ang advantage ng housing namin na yun. So we are using, there are different housing program ng Pag-ibig. You can look into it, the GLAD, the CHI, marami yan. So we're using both of that for different location. So again, depends on which location you are in. May horizontal, may vertical. The one in Napinda, sorry, wag mo ano yung Napinda? The one in Taguig is vertical. And it's a challenging project because malambot yung soil eh. So it will have pile driving and all, and it will add to the cost.
Yes.
And Pag-ibig is very helpful with us, considerate in this aspect, and they really wanted this project to push through. So sige, we can talk about it on the added costs as long as matuloy lang siya for a housing. Yun.
Okay, that's good to know that the Philippines or the administration is extending their efforts to serve the masses. And just like you said, that these developers should be compliant with these requirements, and also the change in the transaction or the transacting parties for these masses or these buyers, they are transacting with the government rather than with these developers, as you said.
Not exactly government, but specifically Pag-ibig.
Yes,
Yes.
I mean one of the branches of
Mm-mm.
the government, which is the financing body,
Yes.
which is the Pag-ibig. Then I also understand that you are into developing projects. You have developed multiple.
No, I didn't develop private projects, but I started designing some of the like I have a client who owns a property, doesn't know what to do with it. So on the side, I designed townhouses. Tingnan ko lang kung how much it would cost and if it's marketable. And I would propose it to them na, pwede tayo magtayo ng townhouse on your property. There's a good market for that. Would you be interested? And if they're interested, I can either be the one to develop it, or they could be the one to develop it. They could be the financier for that, and we can market it. I can get a group who can help me in the marketing.
Okay, is that your experience with real estate consultancy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So,
Consultancy kasi is important because of the financial and legal aspect of a project. So, there's so many legal aspect pala na along the way we learn. I believe there's no one transaction that is the same as previous one. Even like this house, I believe that the rental of this will be different with the rental on the other side. So, given what are the adjustment you're gonna do. So there's no one template that fits all.
yeah, I agree. It depends on the objectives or vision of
Yeah.
specific property or space. So, with that in mind, what are or how important do you think is the innovation and collaboration in the real estate landscape of a real estate consultant?
Innovation is very important because again, like I said, there's no one template fits all. So is innovation. If you always use the same template or the same design or the same um, concept in a project, there's no innovation because people change. The market change. The the behavior change. So once you're able to adapt to your market's behavior, you will not grow. There's a saying nga na, innovate or evaporate, diba? So you will not make it in the market, in the industry if you do not do innovation.
Okay, how about the importance of collaboration?
Very important because like I said, real estate is a mix of different industry. More than just sales and marketing, it's also into technical, which is the design aspect, and the legal, which is the titles, the legal aspect of a property. Now, the legal side is the one I believe is one of the most challenging. That's why we have to have a tax lawyer, a, a land lawyer who understands properties so that we as brokers will be able to sell property. Remember, we are brokers. We don't own the property. We own the service. So it's something intangible. It's something perishable. So if you're going to sell a property, you have to know all aspects, the legal, the technical, and the market. Those three aspects are different. And every person will have their own specialty. Like we're not all marketing. We're not purely technical engineers or architects. If you notice in our industry, we also have like me, architects or lawyers who are real estate brokers. But their selling technique is different. Um, I believe I met the most, how do you say, the most eloquent sellers are marketers. They're the speakers. They're the talkers. They're the comedians of the industry. They uh, they can really bootlickers talaga. Sorry.
Kala ko great storytellers na
Great story. Yeah, yan na lang. Palitan mo yung they're great storytellers. And we should learn from them. And the reason why some buyers, the reason why the consumers are attracted to them, mainly because of how they speak. And we should learn from them on that aspect. But the marketers should also learn a little of the technical and the legal side because they cannot 100% rely on sige, talk to this architect or talk to this engineers when it comes to the technical side. I don't know anything. You have to also not really impress, but you have to show your client that you know a little of everything. A little. Wala namang sinasabing lahat. So, learn a little of the technical side and learn a little of the legal side. know how to read contracts, know how to know the land law. So it's also important to attend seminars on that. And I believe Global City can give those seminars. And there are other seminars na not given outside, in which I hope somebody will start giving them the financial side, the technical side, the legal side.
Okay. I understand how collaboration is important in our industry, especially we are acquainted in one chapter, which is the REBAP Global City. Then, so for my next question, let's tone down our conversation. So if we have a time machine in our front, 10 years in the past or 20, 15 years, what could be the moment that you want to live in again? Maybe it may be a downfall or an uphill experience in real estate.
Well, we don't always want to live a downfall, although failures happen because they are lessons to learn. However, failure will continue to happen until the lesson is learned. So, I believe that I wish I have learned it faster, and I wish I was more, how do you say, prudent when it comes to studying and learning more. We have a tendency to be complacent when it comes to, nakabenta ka. So, we have a tendency to be complacent. We shouldn't be that way. So, of course, when we were younger, we feel like Superman, as if we have all the energy, all the time, all the knowledge, not knowing na, you have to learn. So, you want to learn, kayo mga bata pa. More than just learning from the mistakes of others, you make the mistake. Don't be afraid of what people will say about it. Mistakes happen because you have to learn. And if you don't feel the pang of pain that you're going to experience in every failure, it won't make an impact. The impact will come when you feel the pain.
Okay. So, in that note, you will not change anything from the past because that makes you who you are? Is that?
Yeah. Because we are who we are right now because of our past. And if you didn't learn, you won't go to your future. Kaya lang, I'm thankful also that well, of course, prayers and hard work was I believe that the Lord has always been there to support, to watch over. And I didn't make so much stupid mistake in the past.
Okay.
And we learn from it. Yeah.
Okay. So, let's change it or give perspective to the opposite. What if 10 years from now, 10 years in the future, who CRB Tony would be or will become?
5 years from now.
Sige, 5 years from now na lang. Baka masyado ng advance. Sige.
I always tell people that if you are the same person as you are 5 years ago, you're in trouble. Because 5 years ago, you made mistakes. And if you're still doing the same mistake, you're really in trouble. So you have to learn. 5 years from now, I would have to be more bold, to be more, audacious when it comes to pursuing the plans I have, the plans I made. So if nobody will do it, I'll find ways to do it myself. So mga projects na naumpisahan ko, I was hoping somebody will assist me with it, but wala. So I will have to pursue it myself. because I did my due diligence na. I did my studies na. So I believe in that project, and yeah, we will have to be bold enough to pursue our own.
Okay.
No one will help us except ourselves eh.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
It's more of career. Career pa rin.
More than just the career, your contribution to the society eh. In feasibility, your main objective will have your contribution to the environment and to the society. Second lang ang profit. Now, if your first objective is profit, you're already in trouble. Okay. For example, you're building a townhouse. What is your project, your townhouse project's contribution to that environment, to that community, to the people within that area? So, yan ang main objective mo. Then, the profit will come.
Okay. Now, what a magical words or enlightening words to say about the industry and also the career that could happen to you in the future. So, for my last question, with your experience and expanded horizons in the real estate industry, what would be your advice to our global sales or the aspirants of entering our industry?
Never stop studying. Never, even if it's unrelated diversification, you study. Because even, I also went into farming eh. So there was a time in my career when I met, an agriculturist who was serving a client on their farming business. So he was the one who introduced farming to me. So I tried it for 2 years. Although it failed, but I learned a lot. You know, it's an expensive tuition, but I learned a lot. And given a chance to go further to farming, I would want to go to farming because we eat every day.
Yes.
When you have your meals, have you ever thought where it came from?
Yes.
Diba? So I believe that agriculture is also important, and we also have to look into it. We have also to support our farmers, and farmers are one of our housing sector na we serve.
With that, thank you very much, CRB Tony.
Having me.
And on behalf of our organization, this is flowers for you, eh?
So thank you.
Passion, expertise, vision. CRB Tony showed us that real estate is not just about properties, but building communities and futures. Congratulations once again, CRB Tony, for being the Teacher Broker of the Month for February. I-global sense mo na yan.